started back on Tuesday night when Southern Miss and Ole Miss played in Pearl, or at least tried to play in Pearl. They played for a little while. That game ultimately declared a no contest because of the field conditions. And then a road series win. They go to Troy, and they win on Friday 4-1, losing extra innings on Saturday 5-4, and then blew it open late yesterday for a 13-3 win. You've seen a little bit of everything, Coach. You've been around baseball long enough. Let's just start with that Tuesday night game. We haven't had a chance to talk to you since that. That's one of those things that for everybody in the moment, it's frustrating when you step back from it. And I guess you even said this after the game. That was the right decision for everybody, wasn't it?
Well, it really was. And it was unfortunate for both programs because they were really competing and they really wanted to play. And, I liked the way we were playing. And I think Coach Bianco would say the same with his club and with a lot of game left to play. But, man, I hate it for the fans that showed up and was expecting to see another good game that's played there once a year between both ourselves and Ole Miss. And to have it cut short, I knew was not going to be a fan favorite for sure, but out of safety for the players and just what we have in front of us, our seasons, it was certainly the right decision to make.
Will you and Mike have a conversation at some point down the line about whether or not playing a game at a neutral site is the best way to do it versus just playing maybe two games in one place or the other, or just going home and home every year?
We may. Nothing has been discussed or even talked about of that. So, that may be something in the future. I really like playing at Trustmark. I think when we play there and we play Ole Miss and we play State, I think there's a lot of fans that are in that area that don't get the opportunity to travel north to their place or south to ours. So I think it's a great place. It's just unfortunate this particular evening the field was not playable and it was not in good shape.
Tanner Hall on Friday night. Wow. 9 innings. He throws 113 pitches, scatters 6 hits in the game, gave up 1 earned run. That came in the bottom of the 8th inning. Had 6 strikeouts. I mean, just as good as you could be for a Friday night to start a series.
Yeah, he was really dominant, Richard. I'll tell you, from the first pitch on, I really liked the way that he was competing. He was in the zone. He was getting a lot of ground ball action early in the count. And, along with that 9 innings of outstanding pitch baseball, you had 9 innings of really good defense behind him, too. With only 6 strikeouts, there were a lot of other outs that had to be made by guys behind him, and they certainly were. So thought it was a great team effort, great win on the road against a really good RPI team. The best in our conference is what they told me at the time. Slade Wilkes, he hits a 3-run homer there in the 8th, and that pretty much nailed it as Tanner gave up a home run in the bottom of the 8th, but went out in the 9th and really took care of business with facing 4 hitters there in the 9th. One guy got a base hit, but that was about the only thing that they got there after that.
Scott, it's interesting to me that you use the word dominant to describe his performance, because so many times when we hear dominant pitching performance, that means we're looking at the box score and we see 12 strikeouts in a game. But Tanner Hall's not always that guy. Sometimes it's pitching to contact, but doing so in a way that you kind of know what you're going to get with the contact, I guess.
Well,
does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, most definitely. I think with strikeouts, obviously you don't bring defense into play other than the catcher being able to catch it. Unless it's a ball in the dirt that he has to block and throw to first base. But, I think when you pitch into contact, particularly early in the count, and you can get those outs and you can keep the pitch counts down, then that's in your favor of being able to run the table and being able to throw that CG, which he did on Friday with 113 pitches. So a lot of ground ball action there early in the count enabled him to complete game. And, of course, what that does is that keeps your whole staff ready for the next 2 games.
And I've got to believe that you felt good going into the bottom of that 8th inning with the lead and Cross Sibley in the game with as good as he's been for you, and it just didn't work out. They get the 2 runs in the 8th, and then they hit the walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th in Saturday.
Yeah, but Richard, we just let them hang around. I mean, we were up 4-0 after the top of the 3rd. We scored 2 more runs there in the 3rd. They answered with 1 in the bottom of the 3rd, but we just let them hang around. And I kept saying, you can't let them hang around. And let them have a feeling they can get back in it. And that's exactly what they were able to do. They scratched for one there in the sixth, but then they got us for two in the eighth. And, there was a big hit by pitch in there that played into that inning there in the eighth. So, but, credit Troy. I mean, they stayed the course. They kept us off the board, and they were able to scrap. Good offensive club, and they made it happen late and ended up beating us there in extra innings on a walk-off home run.
So tell me about yesterday's game. So it feels maybe like there's a little bit of momentum for Troy going into Sunday after the dramatic win, and then they score 3 in the bottom of the first. And then it kind of stays that way, and you have the big fifth inning where you put 5 on the board, and even at 6-3 going into the ninth, it's still very much a game. And then you guys just absolutely explode for the 7 runs in the ninth.
That's right. After the first inning, I really wasn't in a good place, to be honest with you. We didn't have a good top. Didn't have a good top of the first. We had 3 strikeouts. Dickerson hit a double off their wall in right field, which is their field is exactly opposite of Fenway. Where Fenway's short and left with a big wall, Troy's field is short and right with a big wall. It's 301 down the line. So anything hitting the air that way, you just kind of hold your breath if you're on defense. But, we were able to do to them just what they did to us in Saturday. They let us hang around. They were up 3 runs, and they let us hang around, and we finally took advantage of it there in the fifth inning. And, it started with a walk. Matt Russo, our first baseman, who was implemented in the lineup because I had to set Sarge due to the suspension from the Georgia Southern game. He gets it started with a walk. There's an error that's built in there. There's some good situational hitting that took place. Slade hits another 3-run homer, and the next thing you know, we go from being down 3-0 to up 5-3. So, but I think the turning point in that game was no doubt it was in the third inning when Isaiah Rhodes inherited runners at first and second. We're down 3-0 with 1 out, and he got back-to-back Ks in relief of Mazza. And then in the fifth inning, Rhodes goes out there and unfortunately gives up a couple of walks after a leadoff out. And Billy Oldham comes in, inherits the same situation Isaiah did in the third, first and second, nobody out, gets back-to-back Ks. So, credit those 2 individuals for being able to kill any momentum that Troy was trying to gather against us. And then obviously give our offense a lot of credit for being able to go ahead and put it away, particularly there in the ninth. But the run in the eighth was big to put it a 3-run game. But, you're never safe in that park. The wind was blowing out, short porch and right. But when we scored those 7 in the ninth, that pretty much sealed it.
So you mentioned the Sarge suspension. You had to take care of that. Have you gotten all of that out of the way? I know you have the ability to kind of stagger those, or is there some that you've still got to handle?
I've got 2 more, and they will be handled the next 2 games. I'll do 1 each game. So I've had to do it consecutive games. So we've got 2 to go. So we'll do 1 tomorrow, and then we'll do 1 at Old Dominion on Thursday, and then we'll be off the board.
There you go. Well, it'll be good to get that behind you. A little bit of a challenging week. Tuesday night game, road series on the weekend that begins on Thursday, playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday because of Easter weekend. And, oh, by the way, you're going to Old Dominion, who's currently tied with Coastal for first place in the league standings.
Yeah, really playing well. Like you said, we've got to get past Southeastern Louisiana tomorrow night, who 16-12, and so we'll try to win that ball game, and then we'll fly up to Norfolk, Virginia on Wednesday and play a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series against Old Dominion, who's 22-6, 7-2 in conference, and really playing well. They went on the road this past weekend and took 2 out of 3 from Georgia Southern, who we were able to win the series at home week 4 last. So, anxious to get this week going and see how we meet this challenge, because it's going to be a challenging week for sure.
A lot of baseball left. Just, Coach, final thing, kind of a quick thought as you look at the league standings. ODU and Coastal Carolina both at 7-2. You got Louisiana and App State both at 6-3. You and Texas State and Georgia Southern all at 5-4. This thing's pretty wide open at this point, isn't it?
It is, and it's like every year. It's going to change week to week, and I was surprised by some of the games and how the series went this weekend. App State goes to Lafayette and wins 2 out of 3 on the road. Arkansas State, let me tell you, they played three one-run games against Texas State out there, which is not an easy place. We lost the series, but they did win one and could have very well easily swept that series. And then, of course, Old Dominion going to Georgia Southern and winning 2 out of 3. I thought that was a statement that they made as well. But good league, a lot of parity, but a lot of baseball to go.
A lot of baseball to go. Scott, always appreciate your time on Monday